U.S. immigration and detention, Guantánamo, citizenship, and the rule of law. Welcome to Legal English Lab, the podcast where we explore legal headlines in real-world English. In this episode, we take a close look at the most pressing legal debates in current U.S. immigration policy. Here's what we covered today. Renewed use of Guantánamo for foreign nationals. The U.S. government is preparing to send detainees, including citizens of allied countries, to the Guantánamo Bay facility. What are the legal limits of such actions? How does international law apply? Debates over revoking birthright citizenship. Can children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents lose their citizenship? What does the 14th Amendment say? We explore constitutional protections and legal controversies. Local government resistance in Los Angeles. City officials in Los Angeles are pushing back against federal immigration enforcement. We break down the legal concept of sanctuary cities and how state and federal powers interact. El Salvador's Megaprison as a model. What lessons or warnings can be learned from El Salvador's massive prison for gang members? Why do some U.S. politicians support this model? What are the legal and human rights implications? The political concept of peace through strength. This Cold War era phrase is back in U.S. political language. But how does it translate into law, detention, and executive action today? All this presented with a neutral tone and clear real-world English, ideal for B1, B2 learners. You'll gain not just vocabulary, but the ability to talk about law, power, and human rights with confidence. Guantánamo Bay, a name that once dominated headlines, and now it's back. This U.S. military prison, located on the southeastern tip of Cuba, was originally used to detain terrorism suspects after the attacks of 2001. Today, some officials are considering a new use for Guantánamo to hold foreign nationals, including citizens of allied countries like the UK, France, and Italy without trial and without informing their governments. But here's the legal red flag. Under international law, especially the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, any detained foreign citizen has a right to have their embassy notified. Failing to do so could violate international obligations and spark serious diplomatic fallout. In the 21st century, Guantánamo remains not just a prison, but a legal and political symbol. Consular notification. Consular notification. Detention. Detention. Due process. Due process. Some politicians want to end citizenship for children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents. This idea challenges the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Most legal experts say it would require a constitutional amendment to change this right. In cities like Los Angeles, local leaders refuse to help with federal deportation raids. These cities are called sanctuary cities. That means they limit their cooperation with federal immigration agencies like ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Local police often do not share information about a person's immigration status or help detain people for deportation. Supporters of sanctuary cities say this policy builds trust between immigrant communities and the police. They argue that public safety improves when people aren't afraid to report crimes. Critics say sanctuary policies block law enforcement and may violate federal laws. This debate raises legal questions about federal versus local authority and the limits of cooperation between governments. El Salvador recently opened a very large prison, up to 60,000 inmates. It targets gang members and was built quickly under emergency powers. Some politicians in the U.S. say it is a model of strong leadership. But human rights groups are concerned about legal protections for prisoners. Mass incarceration. Mass incarceration. The phrase peace through strength is often used by U.S. politicians like Donald Trump and Marco Rubio. It means strong policing, tough immigration enforcement, and a powerful military are the best ways to maintain order and safety. But in a democracy, strength must follow the law. Even during national security emergencies, legal protections still apply. Courts and international law set boundaries for what governments can do. A famous example is the U.S. Supreme Court case Boumediene v. Bush, 2008. The court ruled that foreign detainees at Guantánamo Bay have a constitutional right to challenge their detention in court, even though they are held outside the U.S. This decision reminds us, security must respect legal rights, even in the fight against terrorism. Rule of law. Rule of law. Habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. Judicial review. Judicial review. Harvard and foreign student visas. In June 2025, President Donald Trump issued a presidential proclamation that suspends new F, M, and J visas for foreign students at Harvard University. The measure, according to the White House, was aimed at protecting national security and preventing foreign adversaries from exploiting academic institutions. The proclamation blocks new visas for foreign nationals enrolling at Harvard, directs review and possible revocation of existing visas, does not apply to other U.S. universities, includes exceptions based on national interest. Trump's justification focused on alleged risks from foreign influence and inadequate information sharing by Harvard. He stated, "We just don't want students that are causing trouble. We want to have students. I want to have foreign students. We have people who want to go to Harvard and other schools. They can't get in because we have foreign students there. But I want to make sure that the foreign students are people that can love our country. We are still waiting for the foreign student list from Harvard. How many radicalized lunatics, troublemakers all, should not be let back into our country?" Adult Balance Scale Legal Commentary. Immigration law in the U.S. gives broad discretionary powers to the executive branch under the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA. However, these powers must comply with constitutional protections. Legal experts highlight several concerns. Equal protection. Singling out one institution may be seen as discriminatory. Due process. Visa revocations must follow legal procedures. Academic freedom and free speech. The First Amendment may protect students and institutions from politically motivated targeting. Courts would likely assess whether the policy is grounded in evidence or political rhetoric. It respects procedural rights of current visa holders. It aligns with U.S. obligations under international education and human rights agreements. This issue raises important questions about the balance between security and liberty, and about how far a government can go in shaping education policy through immigration control. These legal debates highlight a deeper challenge in democratic societies. How can we protect national security without violating individual rights? Whether it's detention without trial, birthright citizenship, or immigration enforcement, each issue tests the limits of executive power. And here, the role of courts, local governments, and international law becomes essential, not just as a legal formality, but as a real defense of freedom. Cases like Boumediene versus Bush, resistance from sanctuary cities, and global human rights standards all remind us strong leadership must be balanced by strong accountability. Enjoy your progress. New Legal English videos coming soon. Subscribe Legal English Lab. Don't forget to like the video.